Hi, can you see me around the little thing here? Put me on camera and see if I look ugly. Because if I don't, uh, that was given to me after 9/11. I said to somebody, I said on the air that I wish I could get a baseball cap that said on it, "The sleeping giant is awake," because allegedly, Admiral Yamamoto said that after the Pearl Harbor bombing. He allegedly said, "I'm afraid we've awakened a sleeping giant." So after 9/11, I wanted a hat like that. Somebody in Columbus who manufactures baseball caps and T-shirts actually sent me this cap, and I've had it ever since 9/11. All right. Goodbye. Okay. Good evening, Greater Columbus and all of Ohio. Welcome into your Steve Boom Boom Cannon Nighttime Radio Rampage. All right, but that one spot that we do recorded, can I try and do it live? And you can I can choose what I want to run them. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Uh, that's it right there. Okay. Because I really don't want to have to read his biography again. I'll do it. I'll do it myself, or you can help if you want to. Go ahead. Do what you. Go ahead, man. waiting. Now what do I do? I click the minus sign at the top right-hand side of the page to make the copy go down. Gotcha. I'll do well tonight. No guests, but I'm attempting to contact Terry Blair, former Channel 6 news lady, weather lady, the former Mrs. Marvin Hamlish. I've got a call in for Rick Harrison from the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop. And I've contacted Professor Robert Thompson. He's a professor of popular culture at Syracuse. So we're going to see about getting him on as well. Oh, really? He's not related to you, I asked him. Stewart, yeah. I love Stewart. And who else? All right, Matt Bruning and who else? Stewart and I work together. All right.
Facebook Live, glad you're along. Steve Boom Boom Radio. Steve Cannon, Radio Rampage.
Get it right, would you?
Oh my goodness gracious. We are getting set to go. And in fact, 60 seconds away. It's our spring share-a-thon, so while we're waiting for Steve to start, although you can hear him there, he's ready to go, right, Steve?
I'm ready to go, yeah.
Take time to click on share newstalk614.com with, especially if you're in the Columbus area, let people know to go to newstalk614.com. Number 1, click on like. Number 2, click on follow, and then right to the right of that, click on share and be part of our share-a-thon. 30 seconds. Bring down background music. TeamTrump Radio Network. And a Radio Rampage. 10, 9, 7, 6, 5.
Serving Ohio high above the left tower. This is the hard-hitting live and local talk station. News Talk 614. Boom, boom, here's Steve Cannon.
Radio Rampage, developed by TerryWilson.com. Develop your skills with Terry Wilson, photographer.
News Talk 614.com. Let's begin.
Good evening, Greater Columbus and all of Ohio, plus the internet and Facebook Live. Welcome in. It is your Steve Boom Boom Cannon nighttime radio rampage. We've got interesting, unusual, famous, and controversial people each and every night, and I must add that you fall into all of those categories. That's why I urge you not only to respond on Facebook, but also especially to respond on the air with us every single night, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 East Coast time. All right? And you can respond easily. 1-805-727-3475, the number to call if you want to get into this. Grab a line, 1-805-727-3475. Your opinion is important to me. We may not agree all the time. What you have to say not only encourages others to call, but also gives us an opportunity to exchange ideas. Well, I did a little bit of legwork this afternoon, and I discovered that there is a Professor Robert Thompson, no relation to Dirk. He is a professor of popular culture at Syracuse University. I have placed 2 calls to the professor today. I would love to have him on the show. As you know, part of what we talk about here is popular culture on the Steve Cannon Nighttime Radio Rampage. We deal with, of course, things like the news networks, Facebook, other services like that. I don't want to talk about Twitter because, very honestly, I don't tweet. I don't know why. A guy like me tweeting, come on. Maybe it's just me, okay? But Twitter is a big force. Instagram is now a major league force in social media. I want to talk with him about that. In addition to that, I left word for Rick Harrison at the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop that I think he would make a great guest on this program. And we can find out why it is he picks on Chumley so much. No, I don't mean that either, because I think that's part of the fun of the show. Because Chum is a bit of an oddball, to say the least. But he's family. Although he's not really family, he is family because he has been close to Big Hoss since he was a kid. So there you go. So that's some of the legwork I did today. And I've got a couple of suggestions, because my friend John Remy said he would like to offer an opposing viewpoint one night on the Steve Cannon Nighttime Radio Rampage. It was the idea of my producer and our boss here at newstalk614.com, Dirk Thompson, that we set up a little panel discussion. And I've been given a couple of really good ideas. One of the guys is a guy I actually worked with at that other radio station over there by the pond just off Dublin Road. So anyway, there are major stories in the news today. Think about it. The discussion, the debate, the brouhaha, the harangue that we're getting from the media about the firing of James Comey, the discussion, the conversation, the involvement. Speaker of the House, Republican, Paul Ryan. It was appropriate. He thought a little questionable, but appropriate under the circumstances. So that's a big story. And of course, President Trump is catching hell from all sources, from all kinds of sources. Media talking heads, media networks, reporters, you name it, they're going off on this guy like maybe he deserves it. Your opinion, again, I got to find out what it is. 1-805-727-3475. Now, I actually wanted to talk about that, and of course, that's a major league story. And of course, the story about the president claiming that Senator Blumenthal devised one of the greatest military frauds in U.S. history. That is a big story. The firing of James Comey, a big story from the FBI. Huge story. You know what's an even bigger story? And my friends, I have news for you. Are you ready for this? I believe the 2020 election cycle will be one of the most interesting and entertaining in recent history. As if Donald Trump didn't entertain us enough, it could be actually more than that. We could start calling the 2020 election the Battle of the Network Stars. Now, why would I say that? Seriously, the Battle of the Network Stars. Well, of course, the president did host that show, that reality program, which was not a reality. I wish reality was really reality, but it's not really reality. Even the show Alone or Naked and Afraid, those aren't reality shows. They're done in segments and, you know the whole story. You know how that works, right? And if we get Professor Thompson on, we may be talking about that kind of thing as well. Why did I say the Battle of the Network Stars? Well, there is a story in the news today that I must repeat. And if you have not been informed, it is important for you to know that someone may have, in fact, accidentally thrown their hat in the ring. Are you ready for this? This is the story on Yahoo. All right, you ready? Here we go. From the beaches of Baywatch to the White House, action star Dwayne "The Rock" recently revealed that a political run to become the leader of the free world isn't out of the question. In fact, it might be the question. A year ago, it started coming up more and more. Johnson explained in a recent GQ interview there was a real sense of earnestness, which made me go home and think. Let me really think or rethink my answer and make sure that I'm giving an answer that is truthful and also respectful. I didn't want to be flippant about it. We'll have 3 days off for a weekend, no taxes. After giving the entire issue of being or wanting to be president of the United States, he gave it some serious thought. The Fate and Furious star, and of course WWE star, has declared, I think it's a real possibility. He might want to run in 2020 for president of the United States. Now, would that not be the battle of the network stars? Think about that for a second. All right, now moving along with the article I was just talking about. The reality is that from what he has said in the article, I'm getting the impression that Johnson may be attempting to take over the spot that Mrs. Clinton vacated with that particular party. Johnson, an impossibly popular star and currently the highest paid actor on earth, has the proven ability to influence people, as evidenced by the box office numbers of his films. During the last presidential election, both camps recognized this attribute and reached out to him for an endorsement. Both Hillary and Donald reached out for him. He revealed he did not give one or the other candidate, either of the candidates, his support. Wow. I feel like I'm in a position now that my word carries a lot of weight and influence, which of course is why they want the endorsement from me, meaning that's what he meant actually. But I also have a tremendous amount of respect for the process and felt that if I did share my political views publicly, a few things would happen. And these are all, let me see if I can get to it. For instance, one of the things that we talked about, and not to go into the whole silly thing, the whole article, he basically does not approve of the travel ban. He does not approve of the way the president is handling the travel ban. And he said so. He made no bones about it in the article that he did, the interview that he did. The travel ban, Johnson says, wouldn't mince words, I completely disagree with it, he declared. I believe in our national security to the core, but I don't believe in a ban that bans immigrants. I believe in inclusion. Our country was built on that, and it continues to be made strong by that, by the inclusion of immigrants. It is a nice touch, and it's a nice sentiment. On the other hand, national security is at stake here. Dwayne, think about it, we've had a Ronald Reagan as a president. Now we might have a Dwayne Johnson as president. So look at it this way. I'm predicting that in 2020, if Johnson runs on the Democratic ticket, which is apparently where he stands at this point, it's going to turn out to be Battle of the Network Stars. Oh, good Lord. Now, the question I asked on Facebook, and I want you, that's right, you who are listening tonight, to give me an opinion. All right. 1-805-727-3475, the number to call. Are you ready? Here we go. Ask you right now, my friends in Radioland, is if Dwayne Johnson runs for president of the United States, who should be The Rock's vice president or vice presidential candidate? And I'm serious about this. Who do you think? And be as wacky as you want, but very honestly, tell me what you think and why. That's important too. Who should be The Rock's vice presidential candidate if indeed he runs in 2020 for president of these United States of America? And what about him as president? Would that be a good idea? I'm not sure. Can you see him meeting with Kim Jong-un? I mean, would that be hilarious? Here's this big, handsome hulk of a man who's making more money than God right now, and he's standing there to the little maniacal dude from North Korea. Oh, well. All right, it's break time. There is more to come. You're listening to the Steve Cannon Nighttime Radio Rampage, all happening right here on newstalk614.com.
Boom, boom, cannon.
Needs the comfort and inspiration of religious faith, for it is faith which helps hold our families together, builds moral and spiritual character. And today, perhaps more than ever before, there's a need to turn to a way of life based on the enduring principles of religion. There are a great many programs of religious nature on NBC Radio, which you'll enjoy hearing this Sunday. Among them, The Art of Living, the National Radio Pulpit, Eternal Light, the Lutheran Hour, the Catholic Hour, and the Hour of Decision conducted by Billy Graham. These are but a few of the broadcasts that will bring you inspiration and comfort not only this Sunday, but on the Sundays to come. Of course, the Easter message will be the highlight event this week. We know you'll enjoy hearing them as a supplement to your visit to the church of your choice. And when you do go to church this Sunday, take the whole family with you.
You have got an incredibly powerful communications device at your fingertips, and it comes in a camera that makes high-definition images and video. Now, your camera is a wonder of this period in development of those kinds of devices. We take it for granted generally, and not too many years ago, you would have required equipment costing tens of thousands of dollars, plus an engineering degree and years of specialized on-the-job training. Well, Terry Wilson has broadcast experience, both radio and television, and has been serious about the art of photography since the early 1960s. He holds certification as an adult education instructor with the State of Ohio Department of Education and is also certified in forensic videography. If you want to learn how to fully take advantage of your device, I suggest Terry will make it easy for you. See his work and get his help at terrywilson.com.
Morning, afternoon, and night. It's all local. It's all live with open phones. We have been listening. We have heard your felt.
Yeah.
Your solid voice will be heard. A return of live and local political talk and discussion. Streaming live and online at newstalk614.com. Live, local, and connected. Live open phones for Columbus 24/7. Calling now. 805-727-3475. Powered by the news site magazine HuntForTheTruth.com. The TeamTrump Radio Network. TTRN. Serving Ohio, high above the left tower. This is the high News Talk
614.
live weather talk station. News. Talk. 614. Boom, boom is TeamTrump.
The Radio Rampage,
News Talk.
developed by TerryWilson.com. Develop your skills with Terry Wilson, photographer.
News Talk 614.com. Let's begin.
The exclusive Central Ohio and Columbus area weather from NewsTalk614.com. It's exclusive because a very exclusive guy got it for me. Showers and thunderstorms mainly overnight tonight. It'll be mainly after 2 o'clock in the morning, down to 60 degrees overnight tonight with a 90% chance of rain. Showers and thunderstorms for Thursday, likely mainly in the afternoon after 2. Going to be around 72, but cloudy the rest of the day on Thursday for the high, which is a lot better than it has been. Showers and thunderstorms likely before midnight on Thursday night with a chance of showers, cloudy and 52 the rest of the night. And then for Friday, a slight chance of showers before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, rest of the day cloudy, but only up to 62 degrees. Right now, we are looking at 73 degrees at the Levesque Tower, 77 degrees in Washington Courthouse. From your official weather station, NewsTalk614.com. That's it. That's the weather. That's it. Okay, now, if you're in our chat room, or if you're listening to us on Facebook Live, all you got to do is share what we're doing here tonight with as many friends as you like to get as many of your friends involved. Now, as you know, this is online as well as through the metropolitan Columbus area. We love to do local talk, and I enjoy doing that, but I'm glad you guys are on board. Now, if you want to call, the number to call is 1-805-727-3475. I think Randy Orton ought to be the Rock's vice presidential candidate, don't you, Randy Orton? You see, you can count on him to be tougher than the Rock was, right? Wow, that would be something. Think about it for a second. But then it looks as if for those who are Republicans, you may be a bit concerned about the fact that someone with that kind of impact, as far as drawing people to his cause, may in fact do a job on the Republican Party and may put the Democrats back in the White House in 2020. But then again, there are those of you who do believe that there is a lot more going on right now that will most likely cause that to happen anyway. So do they really need The Rock? But I want to know, seriously, if Dwayne Johnson ran for president, who would you suggest as his running mate? Who would you want to be his vice presidential candidate? Wow. Think about that for a second. Isn't that a fun topic? There was another, oddly enough, there was a discussion group going on downstairs in our building here this afternoon as I walked through the lobby. I live in an apartment building, and as I walked through the lobby, there was a discussion group going on in the lobby, and the discussion group basically dealt with 5 different subjects, including how old should you be before the state requires you to get retested for your driver's license. I like that, but I liked even better. Was there something in your childhood that you remember fondly that doesn't exist anymore? And I want to ask you that same question. Is there something from your childhood that you really loved that doesn't exist anymore? You know, it doesn't exist anymore, and I may be overstating my case here. Now, if you live in Hilliard, if you live in Reynoldsburg, if you live in Grove City, very honestly, you may think this is a little on the outrageous side, but for a guy who lives a transient lifestyle the way I have for 45 years, the one thing that happened during my childhood that doesn't exist anymore was a real neighborhood. Have you ever noticed that? Do neighborhoods really exist anymore? I'm wondering. Do you feel that neighborhoods no longer exist? Now, the neighborhood I lived in used to be a nice neighborhood, and it still is. several houses of worship in the area, several local schools, one of them Catholic, nice homes, older homes, but nice homes. But if you want to go to a market and get some food for the house, you have to get in your car to go there. Now, when I was a kid, I lived in a neighborhood back in my hometown of Brookline, Massachusetts, and we had a synagogue and we had a Catholic church in the neighborhood. Those were two of the dominant ethnic or religious groups in the area. But we had a shopping center. And my street was at the top of a hill. I just walked down the hill, and that's where the activity was. I would walk down the hill and be able to go to, well, I'm not sure if it still exists or not, but there used to be a supermarket in eastern Massachusetts called Stop and Shop. And one of my neighbors actually worked for that company. There was a Stop and Shop supermarket at the foot of the hill. There was a cleaner. There was a pharmacy, family-owned pharmacy, where both the husband and the wife actually were pharmacists. And it had a soda fountain. It was wonderful, soda fountain. And it had a cigarette counter. Oh, seriously. And there was no restriction. Actually, they were worried if I went in there and was 15 and wanted a pack of cigarettes, but, they wasn't as strict as they are now with cigarettes. And in the rear, by the phone booth, in this drugstore, they had a magazine counter. Now, of course, there were not the same kinds of questionable magazines on the shelf that there may be right now. But some of them were kind of fun if you were a young guy. But the biggest thing in the world for us was the fact that there was comic books back there on that magazine rack. So what our trick was, somebody would take a comic book off the shelf. We'd start looking through it. We'd pass it off to one of our buddies. Our buddy would go into the phone booth, read the comic book, bring it back and say, "I don't like it, Steve. Don't buy it." That was what we did. Now, right there was a place called the Curio Shop, which was a gift shop. There was a delicatessen run by a guy who used to play golf with my dad. And next to that was a bakery. I mean, a real bakery. A great bakery, not bakery in a supermarket, but a bakery. There were some other stores. There was a tailor shop, a bunch of other stores. And at the end, George Cito. George Cito was a guy who had made a lot of money with his Chinese restaurant, Hosagai, in Chinatown section of the city of Boston. Well, he moved out to my neighborhood, George Cito. So George said, "Hey, there's a vacant restaurant at the end of the shopping center. I'm going to buy the restaurant and I'll open it." And George never went downtown except maybe once or twice a week. He stayed right there in my little suburban neighborhood and ran that restaurant. One of the funny stories about that Chinese restaurant was the fact that, literally, this is the truth. If anybody in the audience is Jewish, my friends from the local synagogue actually, at the end of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, what happened was they would go and break the fast at George Cito's Hosagai restaurant, which is a little unusual. And I'm sure if you are steeped in Hebraic tradition, you will know that is somewhat unusual. But in suburbia, or a suburban area, it was not all that uncommon. So that's the kind of neighborhood we had. 2 houses of worship in the neighborhood in the immediate area, a shopping center with all kinds of stores within walking distance. And if we wanted to go to a mall, we'd have to get in the car and drive about 5 or 6 miles over to Chestnut Hill, to the Chestnut Hill Shopping Center, which was not that far either, 5 minutes away maybe. That was it. Isn't that amazing? Is there something from your childhood that no longer exists that you miss? Like a neighborhood with people that you know. There was no such thing as a play date. You don't have to be 106 to know that. even if you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, you do remember the day when you didn't need to have set up a play date with your mother and somebody else's mother arranging for a play date so the little kids could get together. No, that didn't happen back in the day. I miss that. I'd get on my bicycle and ride up the street. There were a couple of very cute girls, and I would ride up the street to see them. And there was some buddies of mine up the street. Matter of fact, one guy I remember vividly, a pal of mine named Eddie Hanrahan. And Eddie lived about 3 blocks up my street. I used to go down and hang out with Eddie Hanrahan after school because his parents worked, and we would turn on the TV and watch whatever was on at the time. Because I didn't have a television set until, well, I won't tell you when, but we didn't have a television set initially. My father played golf, so television was not something that he liked to do, but he did like to watch the 11 o'clock news before he went to bed. Do you remember your father and mother watching the 11 o'clock news before they went to bed? And do you do the same thing? I'd be curious to find out. Do you do that? Do you watch the 11 o'clock news before you go to bed like your dad and mother did? Put on channel 4 or 6 or 10, see what's doing. In Columbus, that is. For those who don't live in Columbus, I'll try to help you. WSYX, WBNS is 10, and WCMH is, right? Did I get that right? Channel 4. Okay. My pal Ben Gelber works there. So anyway, that's the name of that tune. And if you have an offering based on what from your childhood you remember fondly that no longer exists, feel free to give us a call. My thing is a neighborhood. I don't see the kinds of neighborhoods we had lying around when I was a kid. Could be wrong. Now, the second question of the night is, and we can talk about James Comey if you want to get into it. All right. The fact that he was fired by the president. There's too much attention being drawn to James Comey. Therefore, the president, I'm assuming, cannot forward his agenda as chief executive. So that's why he let him go. All right. Also, if The Rock runs for president in 2020, tell me if you can who you think would be the best vice presidential running mate for Dwayne The Rock Johnson. You know something? You have an incredibly powerful communications device at your fingertips. And with it comes a camera that makes high-definition images and video. Your camera is a wonder of the age that we kind of take for granted most times. And not too many years ago, you'd have to get equipment costing tens of thousands of dollars to get the same kinds of high-definition pictures you get with your telephone, plus an engineering degree as well, or years of specialized on-the-job training to take decent pictures. Well, Terry Wilson is a guy who has broadcast experience in both radio and television and has been serious about the art of photography since the early 1960s. He holds certification as an adult education instructor with the State of Ohio Department of Education and is also certified in forensic videography. Now, if you want to learn how to fully take advantage of your device, that little camera you hold in your hand, you called a cell phone, right? Believe me, Terry will make it easy for you. See his work for yourself. Excuse me. And get his help at terrywilson.com. Go to the website and see what I'm talking about. terrywilson.com. Thank you, Terry, for helping to develop your Steve Cannon nighttime radio rampage. All right, 805-727-3475. That's the number to call if you want to get into this. I'm reading everybody else's number in the world here, except the one that I'm supposed to.
I know whose number that was starting to be.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's called Force of Habit after years of working in AM radio.
Isn't that amazing that all these years later, I do the same thing?
Do you really?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. There was another article today that really sort of I was astonished by this, in all honesty. It appears that the number of registered Hispanic and Asian voters has gone up drastically. The number of registered black voters has gone down. And in fact, Salon.com attempted to answer the reason, or the real reason, they said, why black voters didn't turn out to vote, basically because they didn't turn out for Hillary Rodham Clinton. They also are offering an idea of how they can fix that problem. That's something I think I'd love to get into. I can't understand why that would be. This last election was so contentious to the degree that I would think that specific ethnic groups would have turned out en masse to at least cast their own vote, to be sure that their voice is heard. Now, voter intimidation, some say, was behind it all. Could be that the standard bearer for their specific party of choice, someone that they were thrilled with having as their representative in the nation's capital. So Donald Trump won, and with the help of the Midwest and other areas. Well, Pennsylvania is the East Coast. Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin. Those are some of the states that pushed Donald Trump into the presidency, or had a hand in doing it. All right, we also have on the table Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson running for office, and The Rock needs a vice presidential candidate. I say Randy Orton, but you must call in. And in case The Rock is listening tonight, he wants to hear what you have to say as his running mate in 2020. 805-727-3475. Comey was put in an untenable situation. He was, bilaterally compromised and tried to tightrope walk between the two parties, and he fell hard. Interesting assessment. That's from somebody on Facebook Live chat, who just offered that. And it's a very important point, a very well-made point, too, as a matter of fact. Although he said there's no indication that there was any problems for Donald Trump, and he said so to Donald Trump, the reality is that he might have overstepped his bounds as the director of the FBI. And Rosenstein, who is the deputy attorney general, told the attorney general, and they both agreed that he was stepping over boundaries that made him a liability to the attorney general's office actually doing its job. I got a break. I want you to stick around because there is lots more of your Steve Cannon Nighttime Radio Rampage to come. It's all happening right here on News Talk 614.com.
Boom, boom, cannon.
Needs the comfort and inspiration of religious faith, for it is faith which helps hold our families together, builds moral and spiritual character. And today, perhaps more than ever before, there's a need to turn to a way of life based on the enduring principles of religion. There are a great many programs of religious nature on NBC Radio, which you'll enjoy hearing this Sunday. Among them, The Art of Living, the National Radio Pulpit, Eternal Light, the Lutheran Hour, the Catholic Hour, and the Hour of Decision conducted by Billy Graham. These are but a few of the broadcasts that will bring you inspiration and comfort not only this Sunday, but on the Sundays to come. Of course, the Easter message will be the highlight event this week. We know you'll enjoy hearing them as a supplement to your visit to the church of your choice. And when you do go to church this Sunday, take the whole family with you.
You have got an incredibly powerful communications device at your fingertips, and it comes in a camera that makes high-definition images and video. Now, your camera is a wonder of this period in development of those kinds of devices. We take it for granted generally, and not too many years ago, you would have required equipment costing tens of thousands of dollars, plus an engineering degree and years of specialized on the job training. Well, Terry Wilson has broadcast experience, both radio and television, and has been serious about the art of photography since the early 1960s. He holds certification as an adult education instructor with the State of Ohio Department of Education and is also certified in forensic videography. If you want to learn how to fully take advantage of your device, I suggest Terry will make it easy for you. See his work and get his help at terrywilson.com.
Morning, afternoon, and night. It's all local. It's all live with open phones. We have been listening. We have heard your felt.
Yeah.
Your solid voice will be heard. A return of live and local political talk and discussion. Streaming live and online at News Talk 614.com. Live, local, and connected. Live open phones for Columbus 24/7 now. 805-727-3475. Powered by the news site magazine HuntForTheTruth.com. The TeamTrump Radio Network. TTRN. Serving Ohio, high above the Levant Tower. This is the live and local talk station. News Talk 614. Boom, boom, here's Steve Cannon.
Radio Rampage, developed by TerryWilson.com. Develop your skills with Terry Wilson, photographer.
News Talk 614.com. Let's begin.
Got about 6 minutes away from the top of the hour. It is your Steve Boom Boom Cannon nighttime radio rampage and the weather for Greater Columbus and vicinity. Central Ohio as well. Showers and thunderstorms mainly after 2 tomorrow morning. It's going to get down to around 60 degrees, and I'll have the rest of the weather for you in a second because Thursday, thunderstorms likely after 2 in the afternoon. Cloudy the rest of the time. It'll get up to 72 degrees tomorrow. Not bad. Showers and thunderstorms likely between midnight, or before midnight rather. There is a chance of showers afterwards about, about 60%. And we'll have an overnight low on Thursday night of 52 degrees. On Friday, slight chance of showers before 2 in the afternoon. Clouds with highs at around 62. Precipitation possibility for the afternoon on Friday, only 20%. Right now, we're looking at, 53 degrees in Upper Arlington. I think it's about 55 degrees in Grove City. And that's from newstalk614.com. That's me. And that's you. And that's Dirk and Dano and all the guys. As we used to say in the old days, to get a boat. That's the way some people talk. In the area I'm living now, you would hear people say, to get a boat. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure how that happened. Or they'd be going to the mall. They used to say that too. That's very... Now, there will be Scrantonians who will call and say, Steve, you don't know what you're talking about. But I guarantee you, when I first moved to this area in 1968, very honestly, I heard people talk like that. But then again, localisms are really something. I think localisms are marvelous in how people in various parts of the country speaking American English seem to pronounce words differently. Like Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. My cousin Shirley. I went to put a broom away, but she wasn't putting it in a broom closet. She was putting it in a cabinet. Think about that for a second. Putting it in a cabinet, that's what they call closets, a cabinet. What do we have here in Ohio? Other Ohio localisms. I'm curious. I've forgotten some of them, but I want to have my memory jogged here. For instance, for those who are listening across the country, many of you are perfectly aware of Bob Evans sausage and breakfast dinners, and of course their restaurants. Well, I'm sure you've read their menus, you've read their packaging. You want to see where they're from, right? Well, they're from Ohio. We know that. But they're not from Rio Grande, Ohio. That's not how we say it here in Ohio. We say it Rio Grande. Another terrific localism. Well, for instance, when you go to Las Vegas, that's in what state? Nevada. Very good. No, not in Ohio. We have a town here named Nevada, Ohio. And I'm serious about that. I love localisms. It's interesting to find out how we all from various parts of the country wind up distorting basic American English to fit our specific area or the way we talk in our area. It's really bizarre. Ah, boy. And have you ever noticed? I have. What did you notice, Steve? Okay, I'll tell you. I've noticed that people from Rochester, Syracuse, Erie, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, and Cleveland all talk similarly. They have the same intonation, they have the same pronunciation of words. I'm not sure why. They all sound like they come from Chicago. At least that's what I've observed over my years in broadcasting and traveling this great land that we call the United States of America, doing my job as a radio broadcaster to entertain and inform those of you who participate in this program each and every night on newstalk614.com. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to doze off. I just expended a lot of energy. Anyway, number to call if you want to get into this is 1-805-727-3475. And I'm looking for other suggestions as to whom or who might, in fact, be a good vice presidential nominee to go along with The Rock, if, in fact, The Rock winds up being a Democratic Party standard bearer in the next presidential cycle. Or do you think it'd be sooner than that? What's really kind of interesting is, although I tend to lean on a conservative nature, I for some reason, and I'm a gentleman, as Dirk Thompson has pointed out, I am a gentleman. And I do my job as a gentleman. I always want to hear what someone else has to say. But I'm surprised we're not getting a phone call, number one, about the Comey firing and what your opinions are on that. I'm not getting any calls on a fun topic, which is, that's right, who do you think should be the vice presidential nominee with Dwayne Johnson if The Rock decides to run in the next presidential cycle? Anybody have a thought on that? I really would be curious to find out what you guys think about whom would make a good running mate for The Rock if he were to become, well, I assume he's going to be a Democrat. And I assume that basically because he has said already in an interview, agree with the idea of a travel ban, that immigration is important to this country. And I agree with him on that. Immigration is important to this country. My grandfather was an immigrant to this country. My mother's family were immigrants to this country back in the 1840s or 50s. So immigration is an important building block for the foundation of these United States of America. But what about national security in these tenuous times? That's why I'm kind of assuming, very honestly, that that's why Dwayne Johnson, first of all, doesn't like the idea of the travel ban But secondly, why so many people favor the travel ban because of a security issue. Now, I was glad to hear that The Rock said he has great faith in our security systems. Ah, why is that running on my in my earphones? Okay, let me stop that if we can. All right. One of the articles that turned up that I really wanted to expand on if I could, and this is important stuff too. I had thought that due to the contentious nature of this last election cycle, that in fact there would be a large minority turnout. And in fact, there was. The turnout in 2016 of Hispanic and Asian voters, the increase has been phenomenal. On the other hand, the black turnout was not that good, but not for the reason you might think, according to an article that I have in front of me right here. Among early voting results, fewer African Americans than expected turned to vote for Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Rodham Clinton in the battleground states like North Carolina and Florida. While black voters accounted for 25% of the early ballots cast in the Sunshine State back in 2012, remember that election? Woo! And we thought this last one was bad. The number dropped to just 16% on the eve of the 2016 election. Now, that according to Politico. They are reporting that. Amid data showing that 8.5% of a drop in black early voting turnout in North Carolina, the state's GOP sent out a press release urging that this showed a lack of enthusiasm for Mrs. Clinton's campaign among people of color. Even the New York Times argued as much last month. Now, this would seem to be a point to the reason why Clinton, once considered a heavy favorite, was defeated in an upset victory by the Republican nominee, Donald J. Trump. But it was always unlikely that black voters specifically were going to show up in the record numbers that drove Barack Obama to the White House in a historic 2008 election. And 2012, when he won a respective 95% and 93% of the black vote. I'd be curious to find out if there is someone who is of African American heritage who has a thought on this. Why is, in fact, there a low voter turnout that by black voters from what they had been seeing for Barack Obama? Was it that Hillary Clinton didn't measure up? Did so vigorously that you weren't going to participate? I'd be curious to find out. And I, again, urge you to call. Number to get into this with us if you'd like to. And I'm serious about this. I've said it before. I've been doing this a lot of years here in Ohio and in other cities as well. I've got an opinion. But your opinion is as important as mine. And the exchange of ideas between you and I is important for the education of the rest of the public. I want you involved. 1-805-727-3475. There is more Steve Cannon Nighttime Radio Rampage coming up.
On the line, and he wants to check in with a comment you had.
I would love to do that. Let's do that right now, so we don't. I don't want to lose Mark.
About Mr. Trump. Mark, are you there? What was your comment for Steve?
Mark, are you with me?
Well, my comment was that Trump he didn't say anything incorrect with his Twitter statements, and I'm not sure exactly why he's. Well, obviously we know he's being attacked for about everything he does, but I do think that Blumenthal, he misrepresented himself, and Trump called him out on it.
He did. Now, the question I have is, did he do it too vigorously or strenuously, causing the reaction? Trump?
Well, I'm sure that Trump always has some motive behind, the reason why he tweets what he tweets. I'm sure most of it was because he wanted to probably divert the attention that he was getting, which, I think pretty much everybody does that.
Right.
But he didn't use anything that was not factual.
Let me ask you a question here. Do you think that social media like Twitter is being overused by people in politics?
Oh, absolutely.
You do.
I'm
Okay.
not, yeah, I'm not comfortable at all with the fact that Trump does what he does on Twitter.
Yeah, me too. And I'm finding out that many politicians in power are doing exactly the same thing. I wish they would do that through the so-called mainstream media, because I don't monitor Twitter, so I don't know what's being said until the media reports what he has said on Twitter. So you're not comfortable with it either, right?
No, I'm not, and I'm not big on Twitter. I have a Twitter account, but my issue is mainly that Twitter isn't really, I don't think, a great forum to present that sort of opinion like that. Twitter is mainly for
I
people to fight with each other with as few characters as possible.
I couldn't agree more. Interesting.
Mark just mentioned something really interesting there, and it's what I've said about Twitter. He said he had a Twitter account, but you don't use it. And I think we see the journalist and the political elite, they use Twitter like crazy. Like if you look up the journalist on Twitter, they are tweeting all of the time amongst each other and the other political activists. And there's only like 8 million really active people, but they think their 8 million person universe reflects the country. And I think that's a huge problem, Mark.
And another thing, also, I think, is the fact that there are some kinds of issues that their bosses don't like them to address. So they use Twitter to relieve their own frustration. What do you think about that, Mark?
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, it seems to me that journalism, um, I guess the best way to say that would be that journalists cannot they cannot express their opinion whatsoever, or they're not supposed to, through the traditional sources. So they go the back door and they use social media, not just Twitter, but they go out and spew all of their opinion everywhere on social media. But the problem that I guess I have with that is that everybody has the right to their own opinion, but what I see is that they use that as a means to push their opinion in a really, really negative manner. When you look at some of the journalists' Twitter accounts and their Facebook accounts, they seem just almost angry.
They do, in fact, angry to the point that I question their ability to report the news effectively in toto, and in fact, presenting it in a fashion that would allow us, the citizenry, to think about what's being reported and make a decision on our own. It's like they want to make a decision for us. And I'm not crazy about that.
I agree with that, and not only that is that when they do throw their opinion out like that, um, then obviously you have the repercussions of that blowing back at them, which just actually makes, I think, their reporting even worse. Um, what I've seen is that if journalists that don't have that sort of negative use of social media, I find those journalists to be much more credible and much more. You have trouble really knowing what their opinion is, but you'll see the people, the journalists that are truly prolific on social media. Those are the ones that you can go straight to them on the news, and you can immediately see that they're biased.
And it also seems as well that it is predominantly the electronic media that's tweeting and in that angry fashion. I don't think you find print journalists doing that kind of thing, do you?
Oh, they're doing it on Twitter.
Are they really?
There's plenty of. I'm trying to think of his name. He writes for the New York Times. He's always blowing up on Twitter.
Ah, okay. Well,
I
the New York Times. Enough said. Hey, Mark, I got to take a break. Thank you so much for calling. Good to talk to you. The number is 1-805-727-3475. 1-805-727-3475. If you would like to offer an opinion on anything we've discussed so far tonight, including who do you think would make a good vice presidential candidate to run with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? It's happening right here on newstalk614.com.
Needs the comfort and inspiration of religious faith, for it is faith which helps hold our families together, builds moral and spiritual character. And today, perhaps more than ever before, there's a need to turn to a way of life based on the enduring principles of religion. There are a great many programs of religious nature on NBC Radio, which you'll enjoy hearing this Sunday. Among them, The Art of Living, the National Radio Pulpit, Eternal Light, the Lutheran Hour, the Catholic Hour, and the Hour of Decision conducted by Billy Graham. These are but a few of the broadcasts that will bring you inspiration and comfort not only this Sunday, but on the Sundays to come. Of course, the Easter message will be the highlight event this week. We know you'll enjoy hearing them as a supplement to your visit to the church of your choice. And when you do go to church this Sunday, take the whole family with you.
You have got an incredibly powerful communications device at your fingertips, and it comes in a camera that makes high-definition images and video. Now, your camera is a wonder of this period in development of those kinds of devices. We take it for granted generally, and not too many years ago, you would have required equipment costing tens of thousands of dollars, plus an engineering degree and years of specialized on-the-job training. Well, Terry Wilson has broadcast experience, both radio and television, and has been serious about the art of photography since the early 1960s. He holds certification as an adult education instructor with the State of Ohio Department of Education and is also certified in forensic videography. If you want to learn how to fully take advantage of your device, I suggest Terry will make it easy for you. See his work and get his help at terrywilson.com.
Morning, afternoon, and night. It's all local. It's all live with open phones. We have been listening. We have heard. We felt.
Yeah.
Your solid voice will be heard. Return of live and local political talk and discussion. Streaming live and online at newstalk614.com. Live, local, and connected. Live open phones for Columbus 24/7. Calling now. 805-727-3475. Powered by the news site magazine HuntForTheTruth.com. The Team Trump Radio Network. TTRN. Serving Ohio, high above the left tower. This is the live and local talk station. News Talk 614. Boom, boom is Steve Cannon.
Radio Rampage, developed by TerryWilson.com. Develop your skills with Terry Wilson, photographer.
News Talk 614.com. News Talk
614.
Weather. Boom, boom. Here's Steve Cannon. News Talk 614.com.
Check 1, 2, check. You're on. We're not hearing you. I'm going to have to reconnect.
One 727-3475, and I'll tell you why you should call him. Because we can start having a trivia question of the night if we have I Stump the King of Trivia t-shirts. And it's very simple. All you got to do is say you'll donate a I Stump the King of Trivia t-shirt to give away on the radio. And what'll happen is we'll give you an honorable mention during the 2 hours of your Steve Cannon nighttime radio rampage. That's simple, right? I mean, we can do that, can't we, Dirk? After all, can we do that? That would be great. As you know from listening, I am the king of trivia. I can be beaten, but I will never be deposed. I will always, in my own mind, be the king of trivia. And very honestly, my friends, if you'd like to win an I Stump the King of Trivia t-shirt, you find somebody who manufactures t-shirts and baseball caps, like the fellow who so sweetly did this great cap for me. And we'll get them to donate t-shirts so we can play trivia sometimes at night. And you can win an I Stump the King of Trivia t-shirt.
Now,
and
nowadays, though, we really have to put on our thinking cap when we come up with the questions, because back when we were on the old-fashioned station, a lot of people didn't use Google, but on a lot of trivia stuff, people will just, go, okay, Google, what's the answer? So you'll have to come up with more ingenious questions. Not that the ones you used to have were not, but we just have to keep that in mind.
Now, here's one that I love asking because nobody seems to know the answer to this. Did you know that Ronnie Howard and Brandon Cruz have the same character in common? One in a movie and one in a television series. Now, let's see if anybody can name the movie and television series that Ronnie Howard and Brandon Cruz have in common. Now, Brandon Cruz stopped being an actor, went around being a rock musician, and that's fine by me. Doesn't bother me a bit. Apparently, he's pretty good at it. Hard rock, electric, headbanging, rock and roll music, yada yada.
Did he really?
Yeah, that's what he wanted. Last time I saw him was about 10 years ago, and he had blue hair. Now he has gray hair. Can you tell me what character or what project? It was a movie and a series, and it's a project that Ron Howard and Brandon Cruz have in common. Now, there is no I Stumped the King of Trivia t-shirt available, but your admiration will be accepted, and we will promote the fact that you have attempted to beat the King of Trivia at his own game. All right. 1-805-727-3475.
Version, or was Brandon in the series?
I'm not even going to tell you. I don't want to bring it up. I'm just not going to give any more clues than I've already given. Here's the deal in a nutshell. Ronnie Howard and Brandon Cruz actually have a character in common. I want you to name the project they were both in. One in the movies and one on television. All right. See if you've got an answer for me. 805-727-3475. I'm hearing delay coming back to me, so I took my earphones off so that I wouldn't get confused. Because when you get old, you tend to get confused easily. All right? Oh, there it is in a nutshell. Very simple. I'm not that old. Full of you-know-what and vinegar, as the old expression goes. I'm not going to use that word. But it is a synonym for urination. Now you know what I'm talking about, right? All right. Why is there feedback in my earphones? I'm hearing myself repeating.
I will see.
The number to call is 1-805-727-3475. Just name the project. It's that simple.
That'll go away now.
Name the project. All right, very easy. They were in the same project. One did it in the movies. One did it on television. Brandon Cruz and the one and only director of Genius on the National Geographic Channel. It is about, obviously, Einstein. And his name is Ronnie Howard. A terrific director, too, by the way. Some of his projects are second only to the stuff Spielberg has done in recent history. Anybody know? Nobody want to take a shot? There are people out there who know the answer. And I'll give you a clue.
I'm even Googling it, and I can't find the answer. So this is a good question.
People, let me tell you about my best friend. That's my clue.
Oh, Ronnie Howard had something to do with that, too?
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Ronnie Howard and Brandon Cruz had a project in common. One film, one television series. Can you give me the name of that project? And maybe you'll give me the name of the character as well. Did I leave my faucet running in the kitchen? I don't even know. I think I hear the faucet running in the kitchen. But then
That's your refrigerator running?
That's another thing that happens when you get old. You get head noises. And sometimes that happens to younger people as well. And they wind up being a serial killer on Criminal Minds. The number to call is 1-805-727-3475. Seriously. This is a good question. I want to see if anybody's got an answer. Or if there's anything else you want to get into, feel free to ring in and let us know what you think. On the topics we've broached so far this evening, we've broached a lot of subjects this evening, including why... I will give you another clue. The clues are the names of two actors. All right. The co-star with Ronnie Howard was Glenn Ford, and the co-star with Brandon Cruz was Bill Bixby. Now, name the project. 1-805-727-3475. You don't have to name the character because I think the character name is fairly obvious if you are a media junkie like myself. So anyway, that's the number to call. Why do you suppose there was such a decrease in black voters during the last election? Was it because of Hillary Clinton? I would love to hear from African-American voters who have an opinion on that. Also, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson may be running for office in the next presidential cycle. And the fact of the matter is, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, apparently based on his attitudes and opinions, he may very well be a Democratic nominee for the president. But I want to know, no, that really happened. That really happened. He talked about that, and he's seriously thinking about it. He's got a lot of power, and he's very, very wealthy. The highest paid actor in the world. Here's a WWE standout, and you got to be a good actor to do that, right? He went into acting. He can do drama. He can do action. He can do comedy. He seems to be able to do it all. He's the highest paid actor in the world, but he's going to need a vice presidential running mate if he runs for president of the United States. Who would you suggest as a running mate for The Rock if he wants to run for president? I suggested Randy Orton, but that's only my opinion. Two tough guys, right? Wow, amazing. But he's a nice guy, Dwayne Johnson. Apparently, he's a very nice guy. He's a great action star, though. Well, look, I mean, after all, Ronald Reagan came out of the golden age of Hollywood, became president. Arnold Schwarzenegger, another action star, couldn't run for president because he was from Austria. And it's not because he came from Austria, but because he was not native born. So why then? And Donald J. Trump, a reality star on television? Think about that for a second. A reality star on television, now president of the United States. If this happens, 2020 could be the battle of the network stars as opposed to the United States presidential election. A number to call is 1-805-727-3475. And if you have an opinion, please allow me to hear your words over live radio. I will be kind, I promise, no matter whether you agree or disagree. And of course, we have a trivia question outstanding, and I have a break coming up. So don't you guys leave. There is lots more to come right here on newstalk614.com. Or, you know what I might even want to do now that I stop and think about it? Instead of taking a break, let me, if I could, quickly talk about my friend Terry Wilson. Have I talked about him recently? Well, I got to tell you, we had him on the show earlier in the week, and we had tremendous response to him being on the program. And I'm hoping that it indeed will continue for him because he's a great talent. For well over 100 years, photography has indeed provided satisfaction to hobbyists and a rewarding career for those who are willing to take the whole thing seriously. Now, do you have a sense of timing with a camera and have what they used to call a good eye for taking good photography? Well, I guess maybe my question at this point is, do you think you really would like to have better training? Well, I think Terry Wilson can actually help you have much better training. Your camera, my friends in Radioland, is a wonder of this age of electronic development, as I'm sure you already know. I'm sure you already know that. I don't have to explain that to you. Terry Wilson has broadcast experience in both radio and television and has been serious about the art of photography since the early 1960s. He holds certification as an adult education instructor with the state of Ohio Department of Education, and is also certified in forensic videography. I want you to get to see his work and to get his help as well. And you can very easily go online, go to terrywilson.com. You, my friends, will learn how to be a better photographer as a result. Terry Wilson. More to come. Stay with us. You're listening to newstalk614.com.
Morning, afternoon, and night. It's all local. It's all live with open phones. We have been listening. We have heard your felt.
Yeah.
Your solid voice will be heard. Return of live and local political talk and discussion. Streaming live and online at NewsTalk614.com. Live, local, and connected. Live open phones for Columbus 24/7 now. 805-727-3475. Powered by the news site magazine HuntForTheTruth.com. The Team Trump Radio Network. TTRN.
I have to go find an ashtray
find your
for my V26.com e-cigarette. In fact, if you're like myself and tried the patch, tried the pill, the psycho medication, and hypnotism all at the same time like I did, and you still couldn't stop, these e-cigs, which look exactly like an analog cigarette, for you dummies, that means it looks just like a cigarette. These are the best. V26.com. If you buy an e-cig, Dan, at a gas station, you're buying an e-cig from a place that sells gasoline. Those are horrible ripoffs. With the V26.com, you get the tanks, you get the refills, and the thing that is the best and finally made me dive into e-cigs is the pull and the hit on this water vapor exactly mimics like a drag on a Marlboro or a Camel Menthol or a Cool.
My goodness. I wouldn't know.
It's V26.com. You can still get starter kits for Christmas. Give it to that loved one that's tried over and over. Give it a shot. They got 10% off on the starter kits. And Dan, today and today only, if they put in DIRK in the promo box at V26.com, they'll get an additional 10% off their order.
Wow, 30% off your order. Man, you can't beat that.
That's V26.com.
V26.
It's the Dano Show every morning, Monday through Friday, 6:10 until 10:10 on NewsTalk614.com. You see what we're doing there, Dano?
I know what we're doing. We're tuning these guys up for some fun, man. This is going to be good. Man, it isn't that you want to wish ill to anyone.
Spring is nearly here, and many of our listeners will be getting out their gardening tools, their overalls or shorts to again try their hands at raising their own vegetables. For most of us, gardening is an enjoyable hobby, and it certainly is a great thrill to see the results of your work out of the ground right before your eyes. In other lands, many people will also be watching their spring planting grow. CARE, the Cooperative for American Remittances to Europe, proposes to help meet that need with their new vegetable seed package. It contains 28 varieties of vegetables. In order for families in Europe to start planting, you should order the CARE seed package right away. Total cost, with delivery guaranteed, is $4. Send your orders to Nonprofit CARE, 50 Broad Street, New York, and help a family help themselves.
Wayne Brady for the Will Rogers Institute.
Hey, folks, I've got something that will truly revolutionize your life. It's called exercise. It will get you from here to there, allow you to spend time with your family and meet new people, cut inches from your waistline, and improve the quality of your life. Even help improve your self-image. Sexy. So when you've got to choose between moving around or lying on the couch, choose exercise. You won't be sorry.
For your free booklet, visit wrinstitute.org or call toll-free 877-957-7575 and find us on Facebook and Twitter.
With our American servicemen in many countries around the world, they have a wonderful opportunity to observe
You have got an incredibly...
What might have seemed strange before is becoming pretty familiar to them. For instance, among the Mohammedans, to drink coffee with anybody is regarded as a sacred rule of hospitality. token of peace. Berries are roasted over a charcoal fire. Coffee is allowed to boil 3 times. It's thickly sugared, served in very small cups. All this is traditional among the Mohammedans, but as our servicemen have observed, it's simply their version of our mid-morning coffee break or our afternoon tea party or our cocktail hour. It's a time for friends to sit down and relax. It's a time for conversation with a cup of whatever beverage suits the individual taste. And this is true of customs and traditions of all countries. The way of doing things may be different.
23 away from the top of the hour. This is your Cannon Nighttime Radio Rampage. I am Steve Cannon, and as far as our weather for Columbus and Central Ohio, showers and thunderstorms mainly after 2 in the morning overnight. It'll get down to 60 degrees eventually with about a 90% chance of rain. Thursday, showers and thunderstorms likely, mainly after 2 in the afternoon, up to 72 for tomorrow. Then we're looking for Thursday night to have more showers and thunderstorms likely. Got an incredibly powerful communications device. There is a 60% chance of precipitation, and we'll have a low at around 52 degrees overnight on Thursday. Friday's going to be not bad. Slight chance of showers after 2 in the afternoon. We get about a 20% chance of rain only, and it'll be at around 62 for the high. Right now, we're looking at 67 degrees in Springfield, 68 degrees at Buckeye Lake. It is now still 73 degrees in the short north, and that is from newstalk614.com. And that's it. By the way, Scott got it correctly. Scott is one of our Facebook friends, and he's a regular listener, and he got it correct. I'll be a son of a gun. Okay, I'll do that too. Dirk, thank you for that. He got the trivia question correct. A project that Ronnie Howard and Brandon Cruz had in common. They both played Eddie. Ronnie Howard with Glenn Ford in the movie The Courtship of Eddie's Father, and Brandon Cruz with Bill Bixby in the television series Courtship of Eddie's Father. That simple. Well, not that simple. It took a while to get an answer, but Scott, thank you. That's very well done. Thank you very, very much. I'm glad that you participated in this. And remember, you can do it on the Cannon Show Live. 1-805-727-3475 is the number to call. We are talking about a number of things. Some of them silly, some of them serious. Well, it's not silly. If another actor/athlete wants to become president of the United States, I don't see why not. I mean, isn't that what we've always told our kids? You could go up to be the president of the United States if you just try. It's a country of opportunity. And Dwayne Johnson is not only a great athlete, but he's also a great talent as well. And a lot of fun to watch in the movies, the action flicks that he does. Some of them really quite good. But he wants to be president. Maybe, and from what his politics are, maybe as a Democrat. So maybe.
That was one of the things, Steve, that irked me probably the most, although it wasn't the major thing, when people would say that Trump didn't have any experience in politics. And I've always thought anybody can run for president, and maybe they shouldn't be a politician. And I wonder if The Rock runs, if we'll still hear that refrain.
I'm afraid we may wind up hearing that refrain, but this time, if it happens, the other side of the aisle. Absolutely. So it's not going to be
We've seen a good example of that the last 24 hours.
It is not going to be the 2020 presidential election. It's going to be coming November, the Battle of the Network Stars. Oh, brother. I can't wait for that to happen. And I don't see any reason why I've listened to friends and loved ones who just do not believe that an individual with no political experience should be president of the United States. And they specifically refer to the one Donald J. Trump as having no presidential experience, or no, I beg your pardon, political experience. Now, think about it. He has been the head of a major international real estate corporation. He can run something, can he? I know what some of you are saying. No, he shouldn't be. If he wants to run something, let him run for dog catcher, but not president of the United States. I know what some of you are saying. I know what some of you are thinking, right? But think about it for a second. We are draining the swamp was a wonderful catchphrase. On the flip side of the coin, don't you guys sometimes get uncomfortable with the repeatedly incestuous relationship within the Beltway in D.C.? I mean, think about it.
That's what Twitter is like, Steve, to give you a real good idea. It's the same thing, but it's happening on the Twitter medium.
You go to Washington as an elected official. You go to Washington even as an advisor to an elected official. So now you're in politics. So what are you going to do? You move on up the ladder. You go from an advisor to a politician to becoming a representative to becoming a senator, and then you want to run to be president of the United States. Or you could do like Lou Barletta did down in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. He went from being the mayor of Hazleton, which is local politics, to becoming a major figure in the Congress of the United States. And during the acceptance speech, or following the acceptance speech by Donald Trump at the convention, Lou Barletta stood at the left hand of Donald Trump. Think about that for a second. Isn't it time that we broke that cycle? Maybe, and okay, maybe you don't think breaking that cycle with a guy like Donald Trump is the way to go. Okay? I can understand your thought process and your feelings on that issue. But don't you think it's time we broke that cycle? Now, when a congressman or woman goes to the Congress of the United States for the first time, aren't they really, really experiencing what's known as on-the-job training? Let's take a guy like Al Franken, okay? Al Franken, very funny guy. Saturday Night Live, Franken and Davis. Right? They were in Eddie Murphy movies, for crying out loud. With Gene Wilder. Very funny guy, Al Franken. Well, he had to go into the Congress for the first time. From his home state of Wisconsin, is that right? Well, he was dealing with OJT, wasn't he? Yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. But this is the leader of the free world. Do we really want a guy to have to deal with on-the-job training when you're the leader of the free world, for lack of a better term? Some people feel that way. What do you think? The Rock for president? And if, in fact, The Rock decides to run. Seriously, now I think this would be a great fun topic we should get into. Who would you suggest as The Rock's running mate? The VP candidate under The Rock. Who do you think that should be? Dwayne Johnson. That's right. He may want to be, he's giving it serious thought. Don't you love it? I think it's going to be the battle of the network stars at the next election cycle for the presidency of the United States of America. Unless, of course, well, now think about this, Democrats. You maybe shouldn't try to unelect Donald Trump. And I'll tell you why. Aren't you more scared of Mike Pence than you are of Donald Trump? Haven't I heard liberals talking in that fashion? I don't know. I just was a thought. All right.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
right,
go ahead.
Mike Pence is like a twin of Ted Cruz, who they despise.
Yeah, absolutely. He is in fact the evil twin of Ted Cruz. All right, listen, we've got to take a break here. Stick around. I have more that we should be talking about. Now, that means you and I. So pick up a phone. Voice your opinion. 1-805-727-3475. This is your Steve Cannon Nighttime Radio Rampage on NewsTalk614.com.
For my v26.com e-cigarette. In fact, if you were like myself and tried the patch, tried the pill, the psycho medication, and hypnotism all at the same time like I did, and you still couldn't stop, these e-cigs, which look exactly like an analog cigarette, for you dummies, that means it looks just like a cigarette. These are the best. v26.com. If you buy an e-cig, Dan, at a gas station, you're buying an e-cig from a place that sells gasoline. Those are horrible ripoffs. With the v26.com, you get the tanks, you get the refills, and the thing that is the best and finally made me dive into e-cigs is the pull and the hit on this water vapor exactly mimics like a drag on a Marlboro or a Camel Menthol or a Cool.
My goodness. I wouldn't know.
It's v26.com. You can still get starter kits for Christmas. Give it to that loved one that's tried over and over. Give it a shot. They got 10% off on the starter kits. And Dan, today and today only, if they put in DIRK in the promo box at v26.com, they'll get an additional 10% off their order.
Wow, 30% off your order. Man, you can't beat that.
That's v26.com.
V26.
It's the Dano Show every morning, Monday through Friday, 6:10 until 10:10 on newstalk614.com. You see what we're doing there, Dano?
I know what we're doing. We're tuning these guys up for some fun, man. This is going to be good. Man, it isn't that you want to wish ill to anyone.
You have got an incredibly powerful communications device at your fingertips, and it comes in a camera that makes high-definition images and video. Now, your camera is a wonder of this period in development of those kinds of devices. We take it for granted generally, and not too many years ago, you would have required equipment costing tens of thousands of dollars, plus an engineering degree and years of specialized on-the-job training. Well, Terry Wilson has broadcast experience, both radio and television, and has been serious about the art of photography since the early 1960s. He holds certification as an adult education instructor with the State of Ohio Department of Education, and is also certified in forensic videography. If you want to learn how to fully take advantage of your device, I suggest Terry will make it easy for you. See his work and get his help at terrywilson.com.
Millions in Europe and Asia are going hungry and facing actual starvation. Therefore, it's up to us, the best-fed nation in the world, to tighten our belts. We can share a meal and save a life. And here's how. Buy only as much bread and other wheat products as you really need. Use rice, fats, and oils sparingly. Don't waste any food. Turn in your used fats and oils at the food store promptly. Plant a garden and raise as much of your family's food as you can. You are saving food for those who desperately need it when you buy less, especially when you use up those leftovers.
Serving Ohio, high above the Met Tower. This is the live and local talk station. News Talk 614. Boom, boom, is Steve Cannon.
Radio Rampage, developed by TerryWilson.com. Develop your skills with Terry Wilson, photographer.
News Talk 614.com.
By the way, visit his website, terrywilson.com. I think you will be not only well-informed, but entertained as well. This is a guy who knows his business. The weather for Greater Columbus and all of Central Ohio, showers and thunderstorms, mainly after 2 o'clock in the morning. We'll have about a 90% chance of rain overnight tonight. It'll get down to 60 degrees. Then on Thursday, showers and thunderstorms likely, mainly after 2. We're looking at about a 60% chance of rain for tomorrow, and it's going to get up to 72 degrees. Thursday night, showers and thunderstorms likely somewhere before midnight, and the overnight low will be at around 52 degrees. Friday, slight chance of showers. That'll be before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, around 62 degrees. Currently, we are looking at 68 degrees in the Hilltop. We're looking at 68 degrees as well at Westgate Park. And that's happening to you from newstalk614.com. Ah, yes, indeed. What a wonderful place this is. Number to call, 1-805-727-3475. Got about 8 minutes away from the top of the hour. The show will be over shortly, but I want your participation in it. I wanted to do the story on the frat killing, the fraternity killing at Penn State. Like 15 or 18 people are being charged. I wanted to do that, but I'm not going to do it right now because I want to talk about what was said by the President of the United States. He really tore into Senator Richard Blumenthal on Wednesday after the Connecticut Democrat called the White House explanation of firing James Comey amid the Bureau's open investigation into the Trump campaign's ties to Russian. He called it laughable. That was the word he used. What we have now is really a looming constitutional crisis that is deadly serious. Now, Congressman Blumenthal, or Senator, I beg your pardon, Richard, sweetheart, listen to me, pal. He's the president, okay? If he thinks the head of the FBI is detrimental to the country and his administration, he can fire him. And a lot of people, both left and right, are saying, why didn't the president let Comey go sometime before around the election or shortly after? Like on the 21st of January, instead of waiting until mid-May. What we now have is really a looming constitutional crisis that is deadly serious. I'm not sure if it is a constitutional crisis per se. Does he not have, as President of the United States, the right to fire the director of the FBI? Did he do it at possibly a ridiculous time? Possibly. But I'm not sure that scheduling the dismissal of the FBI director properly is, in fact, a constitutional crisis. Now, maybe you think differently, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. 1-805-727-3475. That's what Blumenthal said on New Day on CNN, because there is an investigation ongoing, and it was inappropriate for him to be fired at that time. Watching Senator Richard Blumenthal speak on Mr. Comey is a joke, said the president, as he tweeted. Richie, he called him Richie. Richie devised one of the greatest military frauds in United States history. That's what the president said in Twitter. For years as a politician, the Connecticut congressman, our Senator Blumenthal, would talk about great bravery and conquests in Vietnam, except he was never there, Trump added. When caught, he cried like a baby and begged for forgiveness. And now he is judge and jury? He should be the one who's investigated for his acts. Well, politicians do tell little fibberoonies now from time to time. Now, you got to remember, too, that Bill Clinton did fire the FBI director, who was a guy named Sessions. Do you recall him? Isn't he now the AG? And back in 1993, he left the FBI director go in 93. May be questionable as to what point in his presidency he did it. Could be questionable compared to Donald J. Trump. But he did that. Bill Clinton fired Sessions just after taking office for the same reason. Because it appeared that maybe Sessions would be detrimental to his presidency based on activities and the like. Think about that for a second. Now, Bill Clinton is somehow sacrosanct, but Donald Trump, because he did it early in his presidency, now he's a problem. Now, according to Richard Blumenthal, this is a constitutional crisis. Let's see here, May 17th, 2010, at a ceremony honoring veterans and senior citizens who sent presents to soldiers overseas, Attorney General Richard Blumenthal of the state of Connecticut rose and spoke of an earlier time in his life. We have learned something important since the days that I served in Vietnam, Mr. Blumenthal said to the group gathered in Norwalk, Connecticut. That was back in March of 2008. And you exemplify that. Whatever we think about the war, whatever we call it, Afghanistan or Iraq, we owe our military men and women unconditional support. Think about that for a second. And he likened his own service in Vietnam, in quotes, to what people have been doing or had been doing in the Middle East. What's striking about Blumenthal's record is the contrast between the many steps that he took that allowed himself to avoid Vietnam. Blumenthal didn't go. And this is an actual article I'm now reading here. The striking thing about Blumenthal's record is the fact, the contrast actually, between the many steps he took to get himself out of going to Vietnam and the misleading way that he often speaks about his service to our mutual country. An assistant in the Nixon White House in 1969, Richard Blumenthal was hired by Daniel Patrick Moynihan, president of Urban Affairs and the president's Urban Affairs advisor. So Blumenthal, despite the fact that he is obviously a Democrat and obviously has a contentious relationship with the president of the United States, based on what we're reading on Twitter, the fact of the matter is he worked for Nixon. How about them apples? Isn't that odd? And he did all he could, according to the record, to try and get out of serving in Vietnam. Wow. Now that's not, I'm not saying that. And it's not some conservative publication saying that. Guess what news agency I was just quoting? The New York Times. No joke. Although it was, you might consider what Donald Trump did, what the president did by calling him Richie, which I still freaks me out. I think it's hilarious. But seriously. Yeah, absolutely. Well, think about it for a second. The president has the unfathomable ability to say the right things the wrong way. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is about the guy. He just says the right things in some people's opinion, but he says it the wrong way. Unbelievable. Now, if you want to call him on his tact and technique, I will not be opposed to that. But was, in fact, the president telling the truth about Blumenthal? Wow. And that's from a New York Times article. I kid you not. It is actually from a New York Times article. And that, as you know, although a very an excellent news organization. The reality is, it tends to be a bit on the liberal side. A bit. A lot, actually. Just ask the president. Ask Mr. Trump. He'll tell you. All right. How about if we talk about somebody I have come to know fairly well over the past few days? And he's a guy who has been in the broadcast business for many years and has indeed been taking pictures now for many years. And his name, of course, is Terry Wilson. Now, you got to remember, this is a guy who actually has done this kind of work for a very, very long time, since the early 60s, actually, for those who didn't already know. Incredibly powerful device that you hold in your hand, but you want to be sure that you absolutely get it correctly and do it properly. And I think you will do it properly if, in fact, you have the advice of my friend Terry Wilson. Quite a guy. And I'm not sure why I can't scroll this down, but I'm trying as best I can. There we go. That's working now. If you enjoy photography, maybe you even dream of expressing yourself by making great home movies. Let me tell you something. I have for you someone who will be able to tailor a series of fun and easy lessons in photography just for you. Then, once you have developed a little better understanding of the basic photography techniques, the people and people start really noticing that you are pretty good at what you do, you start getting asked to be the photographer at parties, at weddings, at bar mitzvahs, at christenings, you name it. Imagine that. You get so good with a camera, you're being asked to photograph family and friends events. Well, I must tell you, my friends, that Terry Wilson has been serious about the art of photography since the early 1960s, and he holds a certification as an adult education instructor with the State of Ohio Department of Education, and is also certified as a forensic videographer. I want you to see Terry Wilson's work. Seriously. I want you to get his help also. All you got to do, get online, go to terrywilson.com, and my friends, you will be able to access his great work and, in fact, his instructional techniques, which will help you be a better videographer and a better photographer and really good at your craft. You'll love this guy. terrywilson.com. All right. Anything else going on that I need to get into? All right. Oh, by the way, if you are listening and have a small home business, and if you want to come and advertise on my radio program, I'd love to have you. We handle not only big businesses, but small businesses as well. And I mentioned earlier, if there's somebody who would like to produce my I Stumped the King of Trivia t-shirts, I would love to be able to have you as an advertiser or at least a promoter of the Canon Nighttime Radio Rampage. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy doing this for you all. And I love being able to find a good business that would like me to help them sell their product or their service. Now, all you have to do is call my friend Dirk Thompson, 1-805-727-3475. Dirk will give you the rundown, and he will set it up. And you and I can get along just as well as Terry and I get along. And I would love to be able to have you on board. Okay? Is that enough said? I hope so. It's been a good evening, a fun evening, and I enjoyed your participation in the program, even if you were only a listener. I'm glad you're out there. Have yourself a good night tonight and a better day tomorrow. Better still, if you can, do something tonight to make tomorrow a better day. And above all, you have happy trails. On three. 1,
Oh, okay.
2, 3.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and bring us sunny weather. So happy trails to you till we meet again.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you. Chuck Gillespie, thank you so much. Keep us posted on where you're going to be working in Florida, because I know there will be people either moving there or visiting there. And I'm sure if they're from Ohio, and even not from Ohio, who listen tonight, they're going to want to find out where that highly successful Andy Williams tribute show is going to be. Thank you, Chuck.
ChuckSings.com, ChuckSings.com.
All right, go over to Chuck Douglas now. 98.9 The Answer. More local talk right here in Columbus, Ohio. Have a good night.
Boom, boom, tennis.
Needs the comfort and inspiration of religious faith, for it is faith which helps hold our families together, builds moral and spiritual character. And today, perhaps more than ever before, there's a need to turn to a way of life based on the enduring principles of religion. There are a great many programs of religious nature on NBC Radio, which you'll enjoy hearing this Sunday. Among them, The Art of Living, the National Radio Pulpit, Eternal Light, the Lutheran Hour, the Catholic Hour, and the Hour of Decision conducted by Billy Graham. These are but a few of the broadcasts that will bring you inspiration and comfort not only this Sunday, but on the Sundays to come. Of course, the Easter message will be the highlight event this week. We know you'll enjoy hearing them as a supplement to your visit to the church of your choice. And when you do go to church this Sunday, take the whole family with you.
You have got an incredibly powerful communications device at your fingertips, and it comes in a camera that makes high-definition images and video. Now, your camera is a wonder of this period in development of those kinds of devices. We take it for granted generally, and not too many years ago, you would have required equipment costing tens of thousands of dollars, plus an engineering degree and years of specialized on-the-job training. Well, Terry Wilson has broadcast experience, both radio and television, and has been serious about the art of photography since the early 1960s. He holds certification as an adult education instructor with the State of Ohio Department of Education, and is also certified in forensic videography. If you want to learn how to fully take advantage of your device, I suggest Terry will make it easy for you. See his work and get his help at terrywilson.com.
Morning, afternoon, and night. It's all local. It's all live with open phones. We have been listening. We have heard your felt. Your solid voice will be heard. Return of live and local political talk and discussion. Streaming live and online at News Talk 614.com. Live, local, and connected. Live open phones for Columbus 24/7. Calling now 805-727-3475. Powered by the news site magazine HuntForTheTruth.com.